Welcome back to the Whiteout Weekly podcast as we officially enter the Thunderdome of 9 Big Ten games after our preseason start, which got us to 3-0. But it's officially Whiteout time, our namesake, as the number 8 Oregon Ducks head to Happy Valley for a showdown with our number 3 Penn State Nittany Lions. According to DraftKings, which is the site we use, the line is currently at Penn State minus 3.5. Is that what you're seeing as well?
Sure is.
Which kind of scares me because usually a night whiteout game, you get multiple points. So
Mhm.
this kind of screams that it's an even spread almost.
Yeah, and when you go back to recent years, or recent whiteouts rather, this is for the first time in a few years where it's actually been a premier whiteout matchup in regards to a ranking perspective. Probably go back to maybe that Auburn one a few years back, and then Michigan a little bit further back. But you look back, you had Washington last year, Minnesota the year prior. So it's great to have a premier matchup in the most electric atmosphere in, I'm going to say college sports, but it might be in all of sports.
I think so. And so, as my Penn State Buddha, Dave, my emotions have been flip flopping all week.
Mhm.
Like one day, I'm like, Dante Moore is just going to absolutely destroy us. Next day, I'm like, he's a sophomore. He's never played in this environment. He's going to have a terrible, maybe first 2 quarters that they're not going to be able to come back from. But how are you feeling going into this absolutely massive whiteout game on Saturday?
The steady combination of being absolutely juiced and also, like you mentioned, that shade of nervousness because it is a big game.
It
Obviously, it's the
is.
whiteout. It's a top six matchup. You got number three versus number six,
Oh,
but it's
I thought there were 6.
yep, number six.
Okay.
Penn State
We're
slides down one spot to number three as Miami jumps them. But the crux of it is it's a big time matchup. We know how we fared in these types of games. We've
mm,
gone through James Franklin's record in these types of games. It's not favorable. I know we'll touch on Drew Aller in a bit, but he this is another big moment for him. Obviously, you're home, you got the home crowd, your juice, so you got to feel confident about that. But it's that definite uneasiness because first 3 games we chalked it up as the preseason. They didn't quite show out in the manner that you would have expected. They still got the job done, took care of
exactly.
business, got a
Yes.
lot of different guys into action, but it wasn't against the Villanova. It wasn't a 70 to nothing shutout against Nevada and FIU. We didn't put up tons of points. The running game, especially from Nick Singleton, wasn't quite what you expected. So there's definitely that little bit of uneasiness, but also yet a little bit of confidence, understanding what this year means, what this team was set out to do,
hmm
especially having this one at home. So it's a delicate combination, but definitely juiced up for this one.
And I mean, a call spade a spade. Drew Aller, 64.8% completion percentage. That doesn't get it done against
Yeah.
those kind of squads.
Hmm.
But like, I'm almost wondering if Franklin was like literally was like, this is our preseason. Like we're just going to put every package out, everything we can muster, perfect that, go into the bye week, perfect it even more, and then go into the Big Ten run. That's just my hopeful thinking. Hopefully that it isn't what we saw the first 3 games isn't going to continue the rest of the season, but I'm in my heart of hearts, I think that that's what he was kind of trying to do.
Yeah, it's definitely what you would think, especially given the opponents and what this matchup means. One would think that there's a lot left in the bag that hasn't been shown. But
From Zamboni too, dude.
from
Like
the Zamboni,
we
but
haven't
to
seen a
the
lot of trick plays from him.
but to the contrary, I mean, in Franklin's presser, I believe he was asked that exact question, and he was saying that the way that the team operates and how things typically go is that you don't treat those first three matchups and purposely go a little bit vanilla. That could just be a ploy and kind of putting that out there to hide some things. So I think most folks would think that there's more in the playbook that just hasn't been unleashed yet that you would expect would be drawn up coming into a matchup like this. So take what you want from the presser, but I think there's more in the bag that we haven't seen. At least I would hope so, given the talent on this offense.
Yeah, so before we go over some of the troubles that Drew Aller has been having, let's go over the Oregon Ducks, led by head coach Dan Lanning, his fourth year up at Oregon, only 39 years old, which makes me feel like I have done nothing with my life. Absolutely nothing. Um, he's 11-5 against spread in road games against ranked opponents since 2014. So that's exactly the spot that he's in right now. However, Penn State has covered three straight games coming off of a bye week. So something's got to give. And in his 4 years, Dan Lanning got hired in 2020, brought Bo Nix from Auburn for 2 years, Broncos quarterback, goes ahead, gets Dylan Gabriel transferred from Oklahoma, and then most recently, with the whole Nico situation, brings Dante Moore to retransfer back to Oregon after originally committing there his senior year of high school, and then obviously backed off his promise after one season, went back to Oregon as their QB1. So UCLA had their eyes on Dante Moore for a while. He was 155 pounds as a freshman at Martin Luther King High School in Detroit, but gained 50 freaking pounds in the next 2 seasons, which is just incredible. He's putting up just absurd numbers right now on UCLA's roster. He's listed as 6'3", 210 pounds. Continuing with their coaching staff, their offense coordinator is Will Stein, his third year with Oregon from the University of Texas, San Antonio. Defensive coordinator, I'm going to butcher this name, Tosh Lupo.
Mhm. The boy.
He was the Alabama DC from 2017 to 2018. And I believe they have a co-defensive coordinator, Matt Powledge, who
Mhm.
was Baylor's former special team coach. So, like I said, Dante Moore is absolutely balling this season. 4-0 as a starter, a 74.7% completion rate. Just comparing that to Drew Rattler, like out of control. For 962 passing yards, 11 touchdowns, only one interception, 14 carries for 87 yards. This kid's the real deal. And I didn't believe it at first, but the game against Oregon State, the Civil War, he showed he's got the goods.
Mhm.
But 2 weeks ago, Oregon plays Northwestern, and the Wildcats, obviously, in classic Northwestern form, played way too conservatively just to control clock management. Did not work at all. Oregon's offense is just as explosive as they always are in every unit. And those first couple quarters are going to be crucial because if they can take 110,000 fans out of the game quickly in a whiteout environment,
Mhm.
we are screwed. Absolutely screwed. But silver lining, Northwestern did average 4.8 yards per carry. So looking good for our running game. One last stat about Dan Lanning. Not stat, but quote, he said this might be his best defensive unit in his 4 year tenure, which I cannot disagree with.
Yeah, going back to Dante Moore, he coming out of high school, he was also for Penn State fans. He was someone that was that Penn State went after pretty hard. If you go back way back in the Twitter archives, there's a funny picture of him on a golf cart with former OC Mike Yurcich during a Penn State football game. Obviously, he that was going to be a tough one for Penn State to be able to pull off. Obviously, a couple years later, end up getting the best quarterback in the class with Drew Aller, who we know and love, and we'll continue to talk about. But yeah, Dante Moore definitely has come onto the scene. Probably a little bit more impressive than I know a lot of folks, and from me, would have expected. And then for that Dan Lanning quote, I mean, defensive minded guy, former defensive coordinator at Georgia.
Yep.
You knew that's what he was going to bring to Oregon, especially with the pipeline of talent that you're able to bring into that program.
It's
It's never a rebuild. It's always just reload.
it's insane. We're gonna go over. They basically have an entire team of transfer portal guys.
Mhm.
It's absurd.
Mhm.
Um, but let's get into the offense because I want to talk about Franklin, but we said it first episode, second episode. I'm not giving him any credit until he proves that he can get the job done. Get the job done, and then we'll give you your flowers. How about that? So obviously we have Dante Moore as their quarterback. They have a, I thought they had also Novosad was their backup quarterback, but it seems like they have like a trio of backup quarterbacks. Just thinking if Dante Moore ends up having to leave the game, so they do have depth there, and they also have a lot of depth at running back. Jaden Lamar, the mash to the other two backs, dash, or no, the mash to their dash. He's got 32 carries on the year, 215 yards, 6.7 yards per carry, three touchdowns, 10 missed tackles for, which is tied for 12th in the Big Ten. So he is their bruiser. And then Noah Whittington, who was questionable before the Civil War against Oregon State, ended up being out. He is probable for the Penn State game. Absolute home run hitter, averaging 11.4 yards per carry, two touchdowns on the year. And then the third back, Deer Hill Jr., only 14 carries this year, but for 159 yards, good for 11.4 yards per carry and two touchdowns. So our defensive line has to maintain their gap assignments and has to contain the edge. That's the biggest thing for me is this running game scares the living hell out of me.
Yeah, and it's not actually not even what was probably expected going into the year. One guy that didn't mention was Makai Hughes, who's transfer from Tulane, who I think many presumed was going to actually be the bell cow back here. But as it turns out, it's like you mentioned all those names. It's a committee approach, and it's actually been extremely effective, which is very scary. Oregon overall so far this year, granted they've had their fair share of cupcake opponents, but granted they've taken care of business, including a 69-3 drubbing of Oklahoma State, who is still Power Five team and the Big 12 or Power Four team rather.
Also
Uh,
ran the ball 42 times,
yeah,
and Mike Gundy got fired. So come
yeah,
on.
exactly. But
You can't run
Oregon,
42 times down by 60 points, bro.
yeah, insane. But Oregon, 12th in the FBS in total offense, almost 524 yards per game, and it's a pretty much an even split. They're at 255 rushing yards a game, 269 passing. So 255 rushing yards a game with a committee approach. You got something going for you there. So it's definitely a key factor here to the game, and definitely something for Penn State to be worried about.
Yeah, and so talking about their how their entire team is basically transfer portal guys. They've one returning starter on the offensive line. Uh Iapani Lalui. I think I got that right.
Mhm.
Otherwise, they have four transfer portal linemen who have let up 0 sacks this season. So again, an elite offensive line. Their right tackle, Alex Harkey, 6'6", 327, and 115 pass block snaps. Two QB hits allowed, two QB pressures, no sacks. Left tackle, Isaiah World Jr., 6'8", 228, and 114 pass block attempts. Only allowed one pressure and one QB hit. And despite all the transfers, all the people moving around, they still have 124 career starts between the entire offensive line. And the starters average, ready for this, 325 pounds. That's some big boys up there.
Hmm.
So that definitely helps the running game when you have just hog mollies like that, just creating lanes for you. So skip ahead a little bit. What's the method for Jim Knowles to get through this absolute force of an offensive line and kind of stymie this run game?
Yeah, I mean, I think the benefit is he got a couple looks at him last year at Ohio State. I mean, we all know what happened during that Rose Bowl, which was an speaking of drubbings, it was an absolute drubbing
Yeah,
by Ohio State in that one.
that's actually a great call. I did not even put that together. He's very familiar with Oregon.
So yeah, he's definitely very familiar with their schemes, what they have going on. I think when you look at the Big Ten championship game from last year, as you mentioned in the beginning here in the pod about not wanting to get down early here, that's exactly what happened in the Big Ten championship game, down 28 to 10. I think it was about 10 minutes left in the second quarter. Penn State makes that furious comeback, but ultimately comes up short. A lot of it did have to do with falling down so behind so quickly, so early, and having to overcome that deficit. So, but another keynote from that game was a lot of missed tackles in that one. If you go back and watch the tape, you could count definitely double digits, maybe damn near 20 missed tackles from the Penn State defense. So wrapping these guys up and utilizing that defensive front to be able to get pressure to Dante Moore in a ruckus environment
Hmm.
is definitely going to be key. So these are ones where he's young, but he's shown some flashes, and you're hoping that you could see something from Chaz Coleman in this one. Deny Dennis
My
Sutton. This is
boy
a perfect,
Chaz.
perfect moment for Deny Dennis Sutton to burst onto the. I know he's already on the national scene, but you kind of know what I mean. Where this is a big time moment for him to solidify himself as one of the premier pass rushers in the country.
For
And
that
then I
draft
think
stock. Yeah,
just utilizing just some different fronts that confuse a young quarterback, utilizing your linebackers have been playing really well between Amari Campbell and Tony Rojas. So I think there's a lot of different ways that Knowles can attack this front.
hmm
And I think having the experience from and also the success against them. I know they lost that first matchup, but a close one in Autzen Stadium last year. But I think Jim Knowles has a pretty good idea of how to attack it.
we'll get into more of Jim Knowles' defense as we go over the rest of the Oregon roster. Wide receivers. So Evan Stewart, I remember him from last year.
Hmm.
Absolutely despised him because he crushed us. He's out for the season, correct? So they're down to a true freshman in Decory Moore, Malik Benson, a senior who was at Alabama, right? And then Florida
Alabama,
State.
more recently Florida State.
Yeah. And then Gary Bryant Jr. So out of those three, who should we be most concerned about absolutely blowing the top off the defense here?
Definitely Decory Moore. True
Okay.
freshman, five-star prospect, one of the most elite wide receiver prospects in the country. Has definitely burst onto the scene and formed a real quick connection with Dante Moore. They use him in a lot of different ways. You mentioned Evan Stewart, but also even go back to the Big Ten title game last year. When you think about Tez Johnson, who actually absolutely carved up
Dude,
Penn
he,
State
oh
secondary
my God,
at 11 catches,
nightmare
181
fuel,
yards. So
nightmare fuel.
Decoria Moore is definitely one to be concerned about. 12 catches, 207 yards, two touchdowns on the year. They use him, like I said, in a variety of different ways, move him all throughout the line of scrimmage. He even gets, he's someone that they try to get the ball in his hands any way that they can. He's got 3 carries, 42 yards, had a touchdown against Oklahoma State on the ground. So he's definitely one to be weary of. And I think this is going to be a monster test for that Penn State secondary and specifically AJ Harris. He's someone that we've highlighted where gets the recognition. The stats don't pop off the page, and you've even seen it through the first 3 games. Granted, they're very lowly opponents, but barely even got targeted. He may have been targeted. I'd have
Which
to go back and count, but maybe
it
two
might
or
be
three
the best
times.
compliment in football. Like people see it as like, oh, he gets to put up stats, but like that
Yeah,
team is so afraid to throw the ball your way. Like that's the ultimate compliment.
for sure. So, I mean, this is a big test. I mean, they're going to try to force the ball to Decoria Moore. So, this is going to be a great test for him. As for Malik Benson, he's stats on the year: 14 catches, 201 yards, two touchdowns. Really, the rap on him from a not only his short stint here at Oregon so far, but at Florida State and Alabama is he hasn't quite shown up in big games. He's able to put up some stats against the lower tier opponents, but finds himself kind of getting lost against those premier conference matchups or big time matchups. So he's one that you got to keep an eye on, but you're not as nervous about. And then same thing with Gary Bryant, 6 year senior. Stats are decent on the year: 10 catches, 142 yards, three touchdowns. But I think the one that you got to look out for from a wide receiver standpoint is definitely DeCorian Moore.
Yeah, then just one last receiver or tight end, but
Yeah.
pass catcher, Kenyon Sadiq,
Hmm.
absolute physical beast, 6'3", 250. I think I was watching him during it might have been the Northwestern or Oregon State game. I was just like, who is this guy? He
Hmm.
is just an absolute animal.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, he had some moments against us in the Big Ten title game last year too. So he's an absolute specimen.
yeah, so despite all this, they lose Dylan Gabriel,
Mhm.
1,000-yard rusher in Jordan James, four of their starting offensive linemen, four of their top receivers. But like you said, it's just a reload.
Hmm.
Every single year, just a reload.
Yeah.
And the defense, again, they only have six returning starters, but like I mentioned earlier, Dan Lanning said it's probably one of the best defensive units that he's had in quite some time. And it starts with the trenches. As always, the D line. What
Yep.
do you got on them, Davey?
Yeah, so I mean one of the premier names at defensive tackle is Bear Alexander. He's
Oh
been
my, always remember him.
he's been a hot commodity on the in the new world of college football with the transfer portal market or the
Is
NIL
this
market.
is this his third team?
Third team, former, started off at Georgia um, as a true freshman, ended up transferring out to USC. Didn't quite have the impact that I
Hmm.
think neither he nor USC fans were expecting. Found yet another home here at Oregon. Uh, he's someone that can definitely become a game wrecker and can be a game wrecker. He's not necessarily someone that's going to be, he's not an every down guy. Some of that has to be, has to do with just kind of his will and desire. He's got the
Yeah,
talent to
I
be
feel
able
like
to do it.
his mentality, like if some
Yeah.
like someone says something to him or some play gets fucked up, it gets to his head
Yeah.
super easy.
For sure. So, I mean, he hasn't played, he's not an every down guy so far this year. But he, from a production standpoint, he's definitely the one that pops out the most. You got Amari Washington, 6'3", 330-pound junior, former four-star recruit. Um, I mean, this is a group I know we talked about, but again, you're placing Derek Harmon, Jamari Caldwell, both from last year's
Hmm.
Big Ten championship team off to the NFL. So it's a lot of young and unproven guys. I know Bear Alexander, like we mentioned, has been a name in college football, so he's not quite unproven, but he still has a lot to prove.
Yeah.
Collectively, as a group, haven't quite gotten to the quarterback yet, only half a sack so far on the year. But like I said, it's a group that has the potential to cause some havoc. Going in Penn State's favor is you got a tenured offensive line, who and a lot of depth there as well that I feel could match up well against this Oregon D line.
Yeah, so that seems like one of their weaker units in terms of just pass rushing.
Mhm.
So hopefully the ground game with Katron, Nick Quick can get going. But I think their strongest unit is at linebacker, which could be a
Mhm.
problem. Number 28, you're going to see him all over the field. Bryce Bosher, or is it
Mhm.
Bocher?
It's Bocher.
Bocher. Absolute difference maker. He was the number one tackler on the team last year. He won the Bullsworth Trophy for the most outstanding FBS player who began their career as a walk-on. According to PFF, he's the highest graded defender on Oregon, and his running mate, Jerry Mixon, has a 90 defensive grade and a 92.6 coverage grade. So these two inside linebackers not only can stop the run, can cover the pass, and then they got their new star linebacker lining up in the nickel, Jaden Kanani. Second team All SEC from Old Miss, another transfer.
Mhm.
Just again, reloading, reloading, reloading. So this is where, again, going back to what we said earlier, I think this is where the big Zamboni's going to finally pull out some tricks up his sleeve and
Mhm.
try to get these guys out of position. And then head into their secondary. They added five transfers, but went from losing three starters in the secondary to all four starters gone in the secondary. We got the most targeted cornerback, Brandon Finney Jr., actually putting up terrific numbers this year. 10 targets his way, only two receptions allowed, two forced incompletions, a pass breakup, no touchdowns on the year, a 39.6 NFL passer rating, which, if you know, that's like throwing the ball into the ground every time they target him. But I do have a guy that we can exploit. True freshman, Iffy. I'm not even gonna say the name. Iffy. Nine
Obadegu.
target, 9 targets, 4 catches allowed. Does have a forced completion. Does have a pass breakup. Dropped an interception. But I think in a white out environment with this new group of wide receivers, that's the guy that we got to go after.
Mhm.
He's not going to be ready for it at all. And then, as well as Jaden Kennedy, I want to say Candy for some reason, but Kennedy. Dalen Austin is also playing nickel. So they kind of run like a 3-3-5 type defense.
Mhm.
And then they're back at, so they're, I would say, defensive line, probably their fourth worst unit on defense. Cornerback, nah, safety third, cornerback second,
Mhm.
linebackers top.
Yeah, because even at linebacker, just want to make sure we mention them too. Two more. They're kind of a hybrid edge slash linebacker, but Tuioti and Mateo Uyunglele.
Is he related
Preseason
to,
big.
is he related to DJ?
I'd actually have to confirm that. I didn't have that offhand.
There's no way that they would have the same name, right?
I know you would think so.
I'll
But
look it up right
to talk about game records, preseason All Big Ten selections. So there are definitely two premier names to look out for as well. But definitely that linebacker group is the premier group.
And then back at safety, they got I will always remember him from Purdue.
Mhm.
Thiemann?
Yeah, Dylan Thiemann.
Yeah, dude, he's absolute baller.
Mhm.
Absolute baller. Very jealous that they got him. But Who's he running? Who's his running mate? Does he have?
Yeah, it's a very, very young secondary, like you talked through with the cornerbacks there at the safety spot too. His running mate, you got Aaron Flowers, true freshman, Kingston Lopa, redshirt freshman. They've really kind of cycled the two of those guys in. Thiemann, obviously the premier of the group there. One of the top safeties in the country, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Led all Big Ten defensive backs last year in tackles with 104. So all over the field at all times so far this year. 16 tackles, one pass breakup. Used in somewhat of the Caleb Downs fashion, where he's put in multiple positions all throughout the field. But he's a premier athlete and definitely someone that you got to take into account before you snap the ball. But when you look at the two running mates, the true freshman and the redshirt freshman, it's a big environment. You can never count that out of the equation here. It's
Hmm.
going to be loud. It's going to be hard to get your signals in, and it's easy for guys like that to get rattled if you're not ready for an environment like that and for a test like that.
Yeah. You can look great on the practice field all you want, but once you walk into Beaver Stadium at night in that
Mhm.
atmosphere,
Yep.
everything fucking changes. Everything changes. Their secondary. I said it before, lost all four starters from last year, but brought in five transfers. So Oregon is just absolutely crushing the transfer portal. And I got one last name for you. Maybe a top five college football name for me. Their kicker, Atticus Sappington. Freaking To Kill a Mockingbird ass
I was gonna
name.
say Atticus Finch.
That guy's gonna fucking miss a field goal. I guarantee it. Which brings us to our predictions. What do you got?
Before I get the prediction, I just want to say I did look up it. Mateo is DJ's brother, so they are
Yeah,
related.
yeah. Sorry, I forgot to bring that up. They are related. Younger brother of DJ.
Younger brother. Yeah, so prediction here. This is one you never know how whiteouts are going to go.
Mhm.
You never know how Penn State's going to fare in a big game. The way that Dante Moore has played thus far definitely gives you reasons for concern, albeit he's a young quarterback, and you understand what environment can do to a young quarterback in a situation like this, in a game like this. I think this is going to be a back and forth battle. When I look at the 3.5 line, that's a sketchy line. Um,
It's so sketch. I looked at that. I was like, how is that not five? Like you need 2 points for the whiteout at night. Like that's just taking it
so
away.
I think this is going to be a nerve-wracking game. I think the crowd and the experience of Penn State is going to give them this slight edge here.
Mm.
So I got Penn State coming out with the win, and I think it's going to come down to a Ryan Barker field goal. So I think in the preseason, with all those red zone trips that did, unfortunately for all of us, end up in Ryan Barker field goals and not Drew Aller touchdowns, I think that will come in handy in this one. And I
Okay.
think he ends up putting the Lions in front and they get a big time win.
Final score prediction?
I'm going to go,
What's the over under, by the way?
believe it is
Four.
52 and a half, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
So I'm going to go 24-21 Lions.
Damn you. I'm gonna go. Hmm. And that was literally my exact. I wrote that down. 24-20. All right. I'm gonna switch that then. So I think both teams. It's. I agree. It's gonna come down to the wire. I think both teams are gonna get to 24. Penn State goes for two.
Oh,
Wins it 25-24.
oh, my heart.
It would.
I will be in the fetal position for that one.
Might have. We might be done. We might have heart attacks. You
Been
might
a good
not see
run.
us next week, but you can follow our picks in the greatest betting competition on planet Earth, the Big Ten Betting Bonanza, week number four, five,
Bye.
five. It is week number 5 of the greatest betting competition on planet Earth. We only pick Big Ten games and we master Big Ten games. We're slightly under right now, only 4 weeks in. We're getting our momentum, our legs under us. But I think this week is going to be a 6-0 week. Calling it right now. Both of us going 3-0, giving the fans, the boys, what they want. Some cash going into October, betting on football. Davey, you have the honors of going first this week.
Hasn't been a great season for me so far. Sub 500 is just not acceptable. So it's time to kick into full gear here.
And I'm 500, right?
500.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Time
it's a
to
nip and tuck battle.
kick it into full
I think
gear,
a
baby.
6-0 week would do us both some wonders here. So getting back to my roots, going total mode here. I got UCLA
Davey
at
unders.
Northwestern under 45 and a half.
There it is. He's back. It's Undertaker season. UCLA, Northwestern under 40,
45 and a half.
45 and a half. Okay. Alrighty. I'm going to go. So I think Illinois is plus 6.5. Okay. It
Yep.
switched on me. I'm going to take Illinois plus 6.5. So the last 4 games, Indiana has played in Iowa City, which is where the game is being held. They're 0-4 straight up and 1-3 against the spread. Give me that historical data all day long.
Who you taking?
And oh fuck. Iowa, excuse me. Iowa
Oh,
plus 7.5, right?
yeah.
Or plus 8.5, plus eight and
Plus
a
eight
half.
now.
Yeah, I got that mixed up. Sorry. I gave away my next pick. You can steal it if you want to. I won't be mad.
I am going to go. I'm going to go to Husky Stadium in Seattle. We got a tricky road matchup here
Eight and a half point spread,
for
right?
the world famous Buckeyes, number one team in the country, traveling for the first time to Washington, Great Northwest. It's a sneaky, great environment tough environment to have to play in. Drumming this up as if I'm going to take Washington here. I'm actually going to stick to the total in this one. So over under, I got at 51 and a half. I'm going to take
Davy
the over
totals.
here.
You're
I think
taking the
it's going to
over.
be a
Oh,
little bit of a tricky game for Ohio State. I think Washington with that home crowd is going to be able to put up some points with Demond Williams. And I'm going to go over here, over 51 and a half.
Davy totals is back, baby. Um, I'm gonna take this one just because I believe. I believe that we can win. Penn State minus 3.5.
Mhm.
Book it all day. Don't care about the whiteout spread. Book Penn State minus 3.5. Because if not, I won't be here next week.
I am going
uh,
to
yeah,
follow, final
you're
pick.
third.
I'm going to follow suit in the whiteout game. I'm going to go alongside with my final score prediction. I'm going to go with the whiteout under, given my final score prediction 24-21. So I'm going to take the under 52 and a half.
Gotcha. So that first pick was for me was Illinois, right?
Iowa.
Iowa. Okay. Now it's Illinois.
Hmm.
So Illinois 4-1 straight up and 5-0 against the spread last 5 meetings against Indiana. They're given 6.5, as I said.
Wait, you took Iowa
Wait,
with
yeah,
the
what the fuck
spread
am I
against
doing?
Indiana. Illinois is against USC.
What the fuck am I doing here? One sec. I'm an idiot. Bum, 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 bum. Give me Minnesota -5.5 hosting Rutgers.
Golden Gophers.
The Golden Gophers 3-1 in the series. Uh, last time 6-point favorite covered. Gophers are 2-0 at home against Rutgers. Give me them all day long. Scarlet Knights, don't scare me none. Give me the Gopher. Give me the Gophers.
Gophers all day.
Well, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. 9 straight Big Ten games, starting with the most crucial of all, the whiteout game. And could not be more nervous slash more excited for this game. It's going to be incredible. And so currently I'm in Cape Cod at a wedding, and my uh, little cousin, her husband is a Penn State guy. So after the wed the wedding's on Friday, on Saturday they're doing like a huge projection screen and like setting everything up for like a huge party and stuff. So I cannot wait. I hope you guys can't wait either. Everyone who's going to Beaver Stadium, bring the goddamn noise as much as possible. And once again, thank you all for supporting us on every single channel that we post on. It means the world to us. And hopefully, we can get you 6 correct games this week. Getting the Big Ten betting going. Love you guys.
Lock the F in, baby. Whiteout week. Let's go.
Lock it in.